came to Tampa in 1950, actually 3. There were 10 big family-owned companies in Tampa making Cuban cigars. Actually, cigars out of Cuban tobacco, Cuban binder, Cuban wrapper, Cuban filler. What did the Tampa cigar industry in was a Cuban embargo. And it's kind of interesting, in January 1961, President John F. Kennedy pulls his press secretary into his office, a guy named Pierre Salinger. And President Kennedy loves cigars, and he tells Salinger, I want you to go out in the Baltimore, Washington area and buy every H-up petite Corona you can find. Salinger says, why, Mr. President? Kennedy says, it's not important, just do it. It's on a Friday. Monday morning comes, and Salinger comes in his office, and President Kennedy says, well, how'd you do? Salinger says, how'd you do what? How many cigars did you get? Peter Salinger says, Mr. President, you asked me to buy as many as I could, so I took you at your word. About 1,200 HM petite Coronas. Made in Cuba, of course. With that, a big smile comes over President Kennedy's face, pulls out his drawer, and signs the Cuban embargo. This was January of 1961. The last time we were able to import anything from Cuba, especially and including tobacco. Cuba had a buzzword then like it does today. In fact, all the factories that were eating the inventory of Cuban tobacco, in fact, one of them, Garcia Vega, put on their boxes. They said, yes, we still have Havana. My father got nervous. He kept one bale, the 1958 Pinar del Rio crop. Does anybody ever ask my father, Stanford, you have Cuban tobacco like Garcia Vega does? He said, of course we do. My father kept one bale from that crop. That bale was still in the basement. Now it's going to be on our display in the museum. My grandfather loves cigar factories. He always wanted to make a better product. He had a laboratory in every factory, including our Tampa factory, Reloj. My grandfather spent a lifetime trying to take the nicotine out of cigars. His idea was if you make a low nicotine cigar, you can smoke 5 cigars a day without getting a headache. Hopefully 5 of his cigars he accomplished with a brand called Sano. We were cleaning up the laboratory a few years ago. We even found a jar of Havana cigar flavor. Here's the jar. I don't know what it tastes like. My grandfather couldn't get Cuban tobacco. Well, it's just flavoring. People think it's Cuban tobacco. Whatever. Anyway, that was my grandfather's strategy. But it was a disaster. We couldn't get Cuban tobacco. So what did the cigar industry do? My father got some samples of a new type of tobacco called African Cameroon tobacco, African Cameroon wrapper. Very expensive. The other cigar companies refused to pay for it. My father used this tobacco, tried it, made some cigars. He really liked it. So from 1963 up until the late 80s, we used to go to this tobacco Cameroon auction in Paris. Cameroon is what made Cuesta-Rey one of the top-selling premium cigars in the 60s and the 70s. Cameroon is used to be a French colony, and for many years, the French used to run the auction, would help the farmers in Cameroon grow the tobacco. But in the mid-80s, the Cameroon people said, why are we paying all this commission, paying all this money to the French? We can do it. They kicked the French out, or the farms in Cameroon. And sure enough, when the French left, the quality of the tobacco went to crap when it was the heyday. It was Cameroon wrapper that saved our factory for maybe 20 years and helped make the Cuesta-Rey brand a very successful premium cigar brand. Smoke rings. My grandfather died in 1958. The year before he died, he published an autobiography, Smoke Dreams. Unlike my father, who had somebody help him with his book, my grandfather wrote the book himself. In fact, he had my father fact check his book, the script of his book, and my father saw a few things wrong, and finally my father came to the conclusion, Dad, it's your book, your story, you tell any way you want it. But for a guy that never had an 8th grade education and made the success he had, it's a pretty cool book, Smoke Dreams.